Hi everyone, it's Miss Kendall. Last week and the week before, we've been focusing on division. And so this week, we're actually going to continue that by taking it a step further. In the past, we've talked about the steps or the standard algorithm in order to solve the math equations. But this week, we're going to focus on understanding our quotients in different types of word problems. We know from the past that there are a few different ways we can write a remainder. If we look at the problem 11 divided by 2, we could answer that with 5.5. We got the 1 in the numerator from what was left over, and the 2 came from the divisor. We can also write the remainder as a whole number, meaning 5R1. 1 is a whole number, so that's why we call it a whole number. But I could also do it as a decimal if I keep going. This is something new that we learned last week. If I read the number 5.5 in a mathematical way, it would say 5 and 5/10. 5/10 is really a fraction, which simplifies to a half. So it's really important that we remember all three of these ways to write remainders, because throughout life, we're going to be dividing, and we do it pretty much every day. In different situations, we say the remainder or we understand it differently. And so today, we're going to start our focus on when we use the different types of remainders. One example would be at the deli when you're getting your lunch for the week. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, "Can I have one remainder 4 pounds of turkey?" That's not how we say the remainder when it comes to food or meat. It's actually 1.5. This is one time when I will use the fraction type of remainder. And another situation might be when you're stuffing goodie bags for a celebration. I know in the past, if I have any extra, maybe candies or Play-Dohs, I like to keep those and treat myself. I've never heard someone say that in a fraction. I have 2/10 of the Play-Doh container left. That's not how we talk. We would say, I have 2 extra Play-Dohs. And this would be using the remainder as a whole number. There are actually 4 ways to interpret our answers or interpret our remainder. To use the whole number only, to use the remainder only, to round up, or to use the entire answer. And this seems like a lot, I know, but I want you to get out your notebook so we can take some notes on this, and it'll seem a lot less overwhelming. There are 4 ways, so we are going to put our paper into 4 different sections. And just like I did, I labeled each section. So that way I could take notes in the appropriate box. Feel free anytime you see this notebook to pause so you can have time to have your notebook look this neat. You're gonna want this notebook to look very, very neat because you're gonna be using these notes all week. So the first way is to use only the whole number, and that means we're really ignoring the remainder. So here's an example of when we'll do that. You don't have to take any notes yet, just listen. 23 Girl Scouts want to roast marshmallows. There are 50 marshmallows in the bag. How many marshmallows will each girl get? So if I take 50 marshmallows and I split it up between 23 girls, my answer is 2 remainder 4. That means each girl gets 2 remainder 4 marshmallows. I don't know, I don't usually say I eat remainder 4 of something. So in this word problem, the answer would actually be 2. I would forget there's even a remainder. Each girl gets 2 marshmallows. I'm not sure what they do with the extra marshmallows. Maybe they give them to their counselors, or maybe they cut them up and they each take a bite. Not quite sure, but the question doesn't ask about any remainders. The question only asks, how many full marshmallows will each girl get? So here, the final answer is going to be 2. So in my notebook, I'm going to take some notes about that. I'm going to first write down the word problem. Second, I'm going to solve for the mathematical answer. And third, I'm actually going to write the final answer that answers the question being asked, which is each girl gets 2 marshmallows. I want you to write that in your notebook. Please pause so you have enough time, and you can press play when you're ready to learn about the next strategy to interpret a remainder. So this is the opposite. This is forgetting about the whole number and just using the remainder. This is going to be when they ask for the extras. 10 girls are going fishing today and have located 28 worms to use as bait. They're going to let any extra worms back into the wild. How many worms will be let back? I know mathematically I have to do 28 worms split between the 10 girls, but my answer is 2 remainder 8 worms. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's right to go around cutting up worms and splitting them. I wouldn't want to split up and cut up an animal. So my answer would really be each girl gets 2 worms each, and then there's 8 extra worms. But the key is to go back to the question. And the question is how many worms are going to be let back? How many worms are extra? So it's 8. Once again, I'm going to write down 3 things. I'm going to write down the word problem, the math, and the final answer. Make sure you pause so you have enough time to write. And then we'll go to number 4. This interpretation of the answer is using both the whole number and the remainder. And so in order to do this, you're probably going to have to write it as a mixed number with a whole number in a fraction or a whole number in a decimal. Molly needs 2 pieces of rope to set up her tent. She has 1 piece that's 11 feet long. How long will each piece be if she cuts the rope in 2 equal pieces? So mathematically, I'm going to do 11 feet of rope split between 2 chunks. And my answer is 5 feet of rope with the remainder of 1 extra foot of rope. So that means each piece is 5 feet and then there's 1 extra. But I know easily I can take a measuring tool, whether it's a ruler or a yardstick, and I could take that foot and break it in half and just cut it in the middle. So in this question, I could answer 5.5 feet. So in this situation, I'm going to use the entire answer I'm given. When you take notes on this strategy, please make sure you're going in box 4 because I skipped 3, but we're going to go back to that now. Lastly, and the most tricky strategy is when you're going to round it. This means you have to go up 1 in order to make sure everything is accounted for. It'll make a little more sense when we talk about this word problem. 23 Girl Scouts are going camping. 4 girls can sleep in 1 tent. How many tents will they need? I'll take the 23 girls and break it into groups of 4 because that's how many girls fit in every tent. So my quotient would then tell me how many tents I need, but it says 5 remainder 3. So that answer tells me I need 5 tents, but there's actually going to be 3 extra girls that don't fit in any tent. They're going to be homeless for that night. If you look at the picture to the right, it might help you. Each tent holds 4 girls, so let's count by 4s as you point to the tent. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 5 tents holds 20 girls. That's not enough because there's 23. If we get a 6th tent, 24 girls would have a place to sleep. So in this problem, even though the mathematical answer is 5 remainder 3, the final answer that answers the question is actually 6. They will need 6 tents to make sure that everyone has a place to sleep. I want you to go ahead and write that in your notes as well, and you can press play again when you're ready for the next task. So those are all the notes for today. And this is something you're going to be using all week and really all of the time when you have a word problem. So it's really important that you took neat notes, and you can always go back and add to them or to clear them up if you need to. Right now, you're going to go to today's assignment, and you're going to be focusing on how to interpret the answer. So be sure to have these notes out to help you. Go ahead, you'll do just fine.